You're recording it, aren't you? Oh, hello. Oh, no.
Web addresses anymore.
Morning.
Yeah. Morning, all.
Hello.
Morning.
So I'm just about to join the Zoom call at 11 o'clock. Okay. This
Hello.
to
Linda, do you want to mute yourself?
Oh, that's Steve Critchley. Let's host that. Okay. Okay. Well, listen, very soon. I think
I am unmuted.
Okay. I'm just going to mute everyone else and unmute you, Steve. How do we do that?
Yeah, and you just got, yeah.
All right, so, okay, and then, ready?
And then click on.
Okay, Steve, can you unmute yourself now?
Just go over him.
How's that?
Yeah, that's good. Brilliant. Okay.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone?
Good
I
morning.
had a nice drive down to Southampton to be with you today. It's been enjoyable. Glad I caught you in.
Yeah, I know. It's a funny old life, isn't it, at the moment?
It certainly is. It
Yeah,
certainly is.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. We had a bit of a hiccup early March. I was very ill. I couldn't get out of bed for 8 days. But that went, and but I didn't have any of the symptoms other than just being knackered. But then I put that down to trying to ski with my 2 kids that are half my age and very good skiers. So who knows? Until we all get tested, I guess none of us are going to know.
Don't compete with the youngsters, mate. Don't compete.
Just got to educate.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? You know, with the whole testing thing. I mean, you could be tested one day and then get it the next day, couldn't you?
Indeed.
So it's a bit of I think it's a bit of an oxymoron personally, but anyway.
It's going to be a new world, that's for sure.
It certainly is, and I think it's you know, it's the first couple of weeks of lockdown. We were like, oh well, let's just wait and see what happens, and we'll get our activity up again once we know what's happening. And then we kind of like got into that realization. Actually, this is going to be a long-term thing. It's not just now.
This is a permanent change to life, in my view. I think even when we're out of lockdown, you're going to have a bunch of people that are still going to be too scared to go out. It's going to take years for people to adjust mentally, to absolutely feel safe in the environment again. That's my view.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was talking to one of the team members yesterday, and you know, he was saying that, you know, because he relies on winner minis, so we're obviously looking at other ways to get in touch with people, and you know, winner mini is not going to be an option until probably early next year at the earliest.
Listen, Ryanair have just announced this morning they're not even going to fly planes until middle of June, end of June.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a new world. Anyway, are you starting bang on?
We are. So we're counting down to 11 o'clock. I'm just waiting for it to click over. So anyway, well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're really excited to hear what Steve's got to share with us all. Over the last 4 weeks, we've really ramped our activity up and learning to embrace whole new world, Zoom, connecting with people on the phone. And, you know, if I'm completely honest, I haven't been active as much in business over the last couple of years for obvious reasons. This has given me the opportunity to really start to embrace this business again. And I'd encourage all of you to really take on board what Steve's going to share with us this morning, because moving forward, you know, we do have to adapt to change. And you know, the ones of us that can learn to do that are going to be will come out stronger when all this is finished. So over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Helen. Good morning, Theo. Thank you for the invite to be on your call this morning. Just before I get started, could I ask a couple of favours? And that is, if you've got video, can you put it on? Because it's very off-putting as a speaker to see some pictures and some black squares with names in. So if you could revert that, you know, assuming you've got clothes on the top half, that would be great. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Cool. Okay. Look, before I get started, let me first of all thank you all for coming on the call. You're giving Theo and Helen and myself your time, and that's the one thing we might have a lot on our hands right now, but it's the one thing you can't get back. So I really appreciate that. The other thing is I'm going to share some scripts with you today, and I'm often accused of speaking quite quickly. So I'm going to send Helen and Theo a Word document afterwards. And on the Word document will be all the scripts and all the key economic points that I refer to, along with a bunch of one-liners and my book recommendations. So you haven't got to worry about taking huge amount of notes. Obviously, if you're accustomed to doing that, then that's fine. I've tried asking people to listen quicker in the past, but it doesn't seem to work. So the other thing I want to share with you is that I'm very black and white. Those that you know me, some of you know me a long time, some of you don't know me at all, but I'm very black and white. I tell it the way it is. I tell it the way I see it. So if I offend anybody, I really apologise. It's not intentional. It's just the way it is, and I don't change it for no one. So tough. And secondly, all of you that are working off iPhones or Androids, could you turn them to landscape as opposed to portrait, because it just looks better on the screen. So let's kick off, shall we? I've divided my delivery this morning into 4 quarters. We're going to talk a little bit about the company, its history, its strength, and why we should be really proud of what we built together as a team. We're then going to have a large dose of reality and talk about where we find ourselves in the UK in this lockdown environment. We'll then talk about how we can help people by reducing their financial footprint and bringing an extra stream of income into their families. And then last but not least, we'll talk about some of the scripts that work, some ideas, and we'll finish off with a couple of stories. Probably going to run for about 45 minutes if my voice holds out. I've been doing a lot of these Zoom calls. I think I'm in my 30s now, and sometimes the voice goes a bit wobbly, so I apologise for that. So let's start. And firstly, if I could tattoo, embed, brand on your foreheads, it would be the word services. You should be so proud of yourselves for making a decision to get involved with a company that's based on services. I've got many friends in product-based companies that are not having as good a time as we are. They don't have the tools, they don't have the web-based skill tools that their company have put in, and also they're suffering in some cases from the supply chain problem. So, we are talking about transferring a spend from people already spending on gas, electricity, mobile, broadband to us, and us making it cheaper, as opposed to some other companies out there that are in skincare or makeup or weight loss. And a lot of the ingredients that come in from those products are coming from the Far East. So there's very definitely a supply problem there. So it's great to be in services. And that's the one thing that really excited me back in November 1996 when I very first took a look at Utility Warehouse. I've actually been in the industry for 37 years now, so I've seen a lot of things. And one of the things that really excited me was the fact it was services, and we were one of the very first companies to go to the UK offering the UK citizen services. So I saw it in November 96. I started to promote it in November 97. We had myself and Clive and Di and 5 staff, so it's 7 people. And in May 97, the original owners went to the city and we raised £1 million to get the company up and running. And I got my first check in September 97, and it was for a whopping, unbelievable, fantastic 94 quid. So if you divide the amount of time I started promoting it in February right the way through to September, I actually earned about £11.25 a month. So not really exciting. But what really did excite me was it wasn't so much the money. It proved to me that the British public back in 97 were prepared to swap their utilities. That was all I wanted to see. Would the system work? Would it work? Would people be open to changing from BT and Cable and 9X and Telewest and Mercury? Were they interested in, there's some old names for you, would they be interested in swapping from the current provider to us? And the answer was yes. So I was really excited in September to get my first check. And then in October, I was really sad because, and upset and annoyed because the original owners said they were going bust because they made a fundamental mistake and they'd outsourced everything. So they'd lost control of everything. But fortunately for us, along came Charles Wiggider in February 1998, and he bought the company. And Charles paid £2 million for the company, and he put £2 million of his money in for cash flow. So he put £4 million into the company. It's not often you meet someone who's got £4 million in their back pocket. So it's only fair I tell you a little bit about Charles. His background is that Basically left uni with a 2-1 in accountancy, went and worked for Pete Marwick McClintock, then got headhunted by Carlton Communications, and he launched his own company called People's Phone in the late 80s, early 90s. It was a roaring success, 400 retail outlets, 10% of the UK marketplace, doing very well, thank you very much. And then along came the big beast called Vodafone and said, we want to buy you. And Charles said, it's not for sale. And they said, well, we want to give you 77 million for it. And Charles said, well, it's not for sale. Unfortunately, his shareholders had different views because they put in like 5 or 10 grand and were getting like 200, 300,000 back for their investment. So it was sold, and Charles went off and played backgammon and bridge around the world very successfully. But he'd had his dreams stolen from him. So when he saw Utility Warehouse, Telecom Plus is the holding company for Utility Warehouse. So if I flip between the two, you know what they are. When he saw Utility Warehouse back in '98, he thought, here's a chance to get my dream back on track. Here's a chance to complete my mission, which was to build a massive UK company offering multi-services. So Charles came on board in February '98, and then he bought mobile. So we launched mobile in April '98, and these are just some of the things we've done to date. Broadband was launched in 2002, gas electric 2005, cashback card 2007. 2009, we had 200 minis on the road. 2012, we launched Pizza Tuesday. 2015, we moved into a new HQ. 2016, we launched the Daffodil Project. 2017, Quip and the insurance services were launched. 2018, we had 1,000 minis on the road. 2019, we introduced UW Stories, and 2020, we rebranded. And we were the very first FTSE company to do a virtual seminar, not through choice, I might add, through circumstance. So that brings us up to where we are today with just a few things we've achieved. And there's a lot of other stuff we've done, and a lot of other things we've launched and made available. But I just wanted to, for the benefit of the new people, I just wanted to give you a smattering of what we've done. So the other things that's been really interesting for me is the speed at which the company have moved. Andrew, our CEO, Andrew Lindsay, immediately went out, and as soon as he saw this virus coming, he bought 1,500 laptops and repositioned 3/4 of our staff to be working from home. And if you go to HQ today, there's about 50 key people there. We've got remote sign-ups, we've got online training, we have regular weekly calls with Andrew, and the leadership moved really quickly. And that is honestly, in my opinion, down to Charles, because in 2007, Charles realised he got past the baton on and couldn't be doing it all himself, so he brought Andrew on as a CEO. Andrew since has built his own army around him of strong, clever people, and one of those is Stuart Burnett, our COO. He's in his early 30s, and Andrew's 42. So we've got two very young people heading up our company that look at things slightly differently from some of us old codgers that have been around some time. And they moved incredibly quickly. They've been proactive, not standing still. We've moved so that we're supporting the NHS frontline charities. We just put the plastic charity on hold for a short period of time. And I want to share with you that also as a company, we're in very good financial shape because we've got a very strong balance sheet. We have a £150 million line of credit with the banks. And the other great asset to us all is that Charles and Andrew are independently wealthy. So when they make a decision, they make it for the company, not necessarily to line their pockets, because they actually don't need the money. And that's a great asset, because so many business owners out there are looking to see, how can I get more money in my pocket? And they're paying massive salaries. It's common knowledge, it's in the public domain. Charles and Andrew take about £500,000 a year in a salary, which is absolutely peanuts for running a £1 billion company. The other great thing that's really all credit to you guys on the call and our other partners across the UK is the fact that our customers are mainly demographic A, B, and C. They're your friends, family, colleagues, neighbours, people that you've met and have a relationship with. So when we ran our bill run at the end of March, we took in 70 million quid, which was what we'd expect to take in. So there wasn't a big falling off the cliff. So it just reinforces our approach to go after home-owning, good quality customers that we have a relationship, we meet personally, or are referred to you by friends and family. Here's an interesting stat. Uswitch reckon that the average family will spend an extra £3 to £4.80 a week on energy whilst we're in lockdown. So that's good for our company, and it's good for your commission as well. £3 to £4.80. Why is that? Because many people now have got enlarged enhanced families staying with them. They got their kids or they got their parents with them when they saw lockdown coming. We're all doing a lot more cooking. Well, that's what people tell me. I'm not, I don't cook. But everyone's doing a lot more cooking. People are having more showers. People are laying in bed longer. Some people use electric blankets longer. And then those that get a bit of anxiety, a bit of depression, they have longer baths, run it deeper, run it hotter. So there's a lot of energy being used across the whole country, which is good for us. And Art Jonah the other day said on our call, Art's a major thought thinker in the US. He said that probably, in his opinion, UW would be used as the role model as to how to deal with an unexpected tsunami like coronavirus. Because he said, we are leaps and bounds ahead of any other network marketing company that he knows of around the world. And he consults for an awful lot of them. And the point he made was that the company put sustainability and resilience before growth and profit, i.e. moving our staff off-site so our staff are safe, making sure that we have the tools to build this business. So just to reiterate, services is where it's at. You know, I wouldn't want to be in any other product right now because services is just so great. And we'll talk a little bit about the remote sponsoring situation a bit later. But we've got a lot of crises going on. There's a lot of people out there got lots of crises in their head, and the world has got a lot of crises right now. So we've got a health crisis, a supply chain crisis, an unemployment crisis, an economic crisis, an equity crisis, an oil crisis, a housing crisis, domestic violence crisis, homeless crisis, mental health crisis. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. But there's one word that tends to permeate around all of those, and that is the word fear. Many, many people out there are fearful of lots and lots and lots of things. And fear stands for the Purple Army, fear stands for face everything and rise. F-E-A-R. Face everything and rise, because we've got an opportunity. We've got a fantastic, brilliant opportunity to help eliminate some of that fear from those people. Because 9 out of 10 people out there are fearful of their financial footprint. They're fearful of the future. They're thinking, how am I going to cope? My boss has furloughed me. When am I going to get some money? Is me being furloughed just the step before redundancy? How am I going to cope hanging on the phone to the government for 10 hours to try and get some money? Or going to a bank and being told you've got to put it in writing an email. There's a whole raft of stuff why people are fearful. And these are just some of them. I read an article the other day on the BBC. Of the people they surveyed, 20% were worried about their mental health, 11% about anxiety, and 7% about depression. This is the worst economy since 1920. Let me just say one thing. This is my personal view. My whole talk this morning has got some facts. It's got my opinions in. It's got stuff I've got for the television and from journalists. So it's a whole smorgasbord of stuff. So take what you want from it. You know, if I quote the Daily Mail, you know it's true. No, I'm only joking. Anyway, Reed Recruitment had 63,000 jobs on their books the week before lockdown. 2 weeks later, they had 23,000. Many of those in supermarkets on minimum wage. McKinsey Global, which is a massive consultancy firm, said they reckon that 26% of the EU working people, people with jobs, 26% could lose their job across the whole of the EU. 26%, unbelievable. 20% of the FTSE have cancelled their dividend payments. We haven't, because we're in a very strong position, but 20% of the FTSE have cancelled. Why is that important? Because ultimately it trickles down to pensioners who are going to get less because their pensions aren't doing so well because they're not receiving the dividend income. 1,000 mortgages were removed from the market when the base rate went to 0.1%. I read in the paper this morning in the Times that most of the lenders now are going back to 20-25% deposit because of the risk factor. And here's a figure that absolutely is staggering to me. When I saw this the other day, I just couldn't believe it. There's £82 billion in house sales tied up in 373,000 transactions. 82 billion quid. What's a house worth today? You can't sell it, you can't buy one, you can't move a tenant in, you can't move a tenant out legally. So you know, we're in a massive environment of change, that's for sure. The economy is losing £2.5 billion a day. 1 in 33 people on a 0 hours contract, that's 1 million people. 1 in 2 of our lorries are idle, and 25% of all businesses across the UK are shut. Companies are going bust all over the place. Debenhams, Oasis, Cath Kidston, Warehouse. Philip Green is threatening to put 100 of his retail outlets, Dorothy Perkins, Topshop, Miss Selfridge, into administration. BA are looking at making 12,000 people redundant. Tony Leary of Ryanair the other day said that he's had to cancel 25 million plane seat flights. 25 million. Because they're not flying. And in the paper today, he said he doubts whether one of his planes is going to be in the air before the mid-June or end of June. There's an extra 1.5 million people applied for universal credit just in March. There's up to 12 million people could be furloughed by the government. That's a third of our workforce. And my big question to all of you is, who do you think is going to pay for all of this? Here's a clue. Not me personally, but us. In our taxes. They're going to go up. They have to. So this is another, I'll give you a whole bunch of doom and gloom, I know, but I just wanted you to realise that we ain't going back to normal. So many people are saying to me, when we get back to normal, there ain't going to be a normal. There ain't going to be a normal. It's going to be a new world. When we come out of this coronavirus smog and you look at the high street, it's going to be carnage. It's going to be carnage. One of the government propositions is that restaurants will be allowed to open maybe 3 to 4 months down the road, and they have to halve the amount of covers they have so that they can enforce the distancing. Over half ago bus, they couldn't afford to make a profit with half the trade without doubling their prices. So we can't blame people for being fearful, can we? We really can't. Most people want to reduce their financial footprint, and we've got a great opportunity. We really do have. So when we come out of this, and I absolutely know we will, we'll come out stronger, we'll come out faster, we'll come out, running on all 4 cylinders as a company and as a network. And I've got some stuff to back this up, because I've actually worked through 4 recessions now. 87, when George Soros broke the bank. 93, when interest rates were 16%. 2003, when lastminute.com went bust and the other people followed. And then 2008 in the banking crisis. And yet what's interesting is Stuart Ritchie, Jog Ashoka and Tamsin Ford, who joined me in months before the recession started. And they are all full-time SGLs in our business with full-time money coming in to pay all their bills. Groupon, Uber, Instagram and Slack all launched in 2009, right at the beginning of the last recession. So in every adversity, there's opportunity. So when we come out of this, I just want to share this with you, that there's going to be so many people looking. There's going to be so many people looking that our business is going to absolutely boom. So all the people in the past that have laughed and ridiculed you and said, are you still doing that utility warehouse, whorehouse, who house thing? Are you still doing that Mickey Mouse bloody broadband mobile thing from home? They're going to be looking. What about all the people on your Genie that have done nothing for the last 3 months? Their circumstances have changed. Give them a call. What about all the people that are greyed out on your Genie, who quit for whatever reason in the past? Give them a call. What about talking to people that are business owners? There's a lot of good business owners out there, and they feel really bad about laying off staff and putting staff on furlough. Why not give them a call? Show them what we do so that they can become involved as a partner and go and offer their employees an opportunity to reduce their financial footprint by becoming a customer of ours or by becoming a partner. Now, I know this might sound a bit strange for some of you, especially those with young kids or suffer from claustrophobia, but there are some people that are actually enjoying this. They are. They're at home. They're spending more time with their loved ones. They've reconnected with their vegetable patch, whatever the case may be. But there are people that have enjoyed this. So let's just think, those people in the past, they get out of bed, they'd have a shower, chuck their breakfast down and get in a car, sit in traffic, breathe dirty air, go to work, where they park, who they talk to, when they have a coffee break, tea break, lunch break, all controlled by other people. They're using their skill, knowledge, expertise, creativity to build someone else's business. you think they might be looking? Our business, we are going to absolutely boom. But what we've got to do is we got to skill up so that we know what to say to these people. So we got the remote mechanism, which is, I call it the remote sign up, remote mechanism, whatever you want to call it, which is phenomenal. You know, we had 2 people working on that, and we're probably going to launch it on a mad day. But as soon as Andrew saw what was happening, he put 40 developers on it and got it out quickly. So the speed at which the company moved has been fantastic. And let me just tell you that the remote sign up is here to stay. It's not something that's a fix for coronavirus. It's here to stay because there are so many other benefits. So let's just have a look at some of them. What about people that are disabled? Can't get out. We can give them their self-respect and pride back. They can build a business with us now with our remote sign-up mechanism. What about people who've got young children? Okay, can't get out in the evenings. They can build a business with us with the remote sign-up. What about people that can't drive or are short of money? What about people that maybe in the past have made an appointment with a Winner Mini person at 9 o'clock in the evening on a dark winter's evening and are a bit anxious about knocking on the door? You know, in case a single bloke answers the door, they're maybe putting themselves in danger. What about people that are short on time? What about people that, you know, you get a referral and they live in Manchester and you live in Southampton? You know, the remote sign-up is brilliant for that and for training. So there's 8 reasons why the remote sign-up is absolutely brilliant. I think the biggest crime that we can all commit is to come out of this lockdown with no new skills. You owe it to yourself to learn how to use, out of all the things we've got, learn how to use this remote sign-up. It will change your life. Learn how to use it. And I know, looking across what I can see, I've only got one screen here, but you know, I know some of you are of an age where change is challenging. I remember in 1983 when someone showed me a fax machine. I said, you've got to be bloody joking. That'll never take off. You can't send an alphabet down the telephone line. Don't be silly. The fax machine's come and gone. So we've got to embrace change. We've got to embrace change. But there's going to be so many people that are going to be looking. I just want to assure you that. You know, all the decorators, all the plumbers, all the electricians, all the carpet layers. Where's their income been for the last month? They haven't had one. They've not been allowed to go in homes. What about all the restaurant owners that are shut and all the small coffee shops? What about all the people that do craft stuff? We just got to talk to everybody. Talk to everybody. And I want to encourage you that you know, if you're, you know, start on your mobile phone. Start at A, go to Z. Talk to anybody. As long as you're doing it with good intentions, you know, and you're not predatory. As long as you're reaching out to help these people. You know, it's all about intention, in my view. It's all about intention. So Tony Robbins, when I used to work with him, used to say, people don't care about how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And that is so important in today's environment. So important in today's environment. And also, we need to lead with humanity. Find out where people are at before we start hitting them over the head with a big 14-pound hammer that's probably purple. So just be a little bit caring when we talk to people. But let me stop now and talk a little bit about the future, because that's quite exciting. As soon as the government deregulate water, we'll be straight in there. Guarantee you that. We'll be like a rabbit, like a fox chasing a rabbit down a rabbit hole. We'll be in there immediately. So it's a perfect fit with what we do. We could launch anything with the word insurance on. Pet insurance, car insurance, identity insurance, employment insurance. I don't want my hair to go grey insurance. If we could, if anything, we could launch with the word insurance on. So it's going to be a new normal. We've got to get busy. We've got to understand how to use this remote system. You know, a lot of people out there, they weren't furloughed or sacked or laid off nicely. Some of them got a text. Some of them got an email. Some of them just got a phone call. People are going to remember that. And I think it's going to be a very ignorant adult that says, when we get back to normal, and I don't need a second income. I think this is going to change our world. People are going to be worried, concerned. People are going to be fearful of being caught out again. You know, let's talk a little bit about the minimum wage. April the 6th, it went up. It's a humongous 1,400 quid a month now, gross. Take your personal allowance off, bit of tax, you've probably got 1,325 quid. 4 quips. 4 quips, 1 a week, will give you more than what the minimum wage will bring for a month. So do you think we could talk to somebody and show them how to get 1 double gold Daffy homeowner in a week? We can get them off minimum wage, get them off minimum contract. So let me share a couple of things that I used to do. Now, you know, I used to work belly to belly. When I was building my business, it was belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball. I appreciate we're working screen to screen, but what I've looked at is what transfers over, what actually transfers over from belly to belly to screen to screen. I've got a couple of things I want to share with you. And that was this. If I was talking to somebody about our services, screen to screen, and let's say I'm talking with, who can I use who's on the call here? Let's say I'm talking to Jilly Miller there, and I'm talking to her about the services, screen to screen. I'd find a way somewhere to build this in, and I would build in, Jilly, I work for a really unusual company. And not only are we a British PLC on the stock market, but we only want happy, smiley customers. So on that basis, if I can save you and your family some money on your utilities, makes sense to join, wouldn't it? And everyone goes, yep. And then I'd say, Jilly, guess what? If I can't save you any money, we don't want you to join. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And if you can see the person you're talking to's shoulders, you can see them drop. Their shoulders just drop because suddenly they're not under pressure. Suddenly they're in a situation where, oh, Steve said that if it can't save me any money, I haven't got to join. So they relax more. They relax more. Now, let's imagine I've signed Jilly up. She's a double gold Daffy homeowner. She's made a smart move. Let me tell you at that point what a lot of you do, and I know you do this, is you try and get off the call as quick as possible because you're worried they're going to change their mind. That's what a lot of you do. Let me tell you, when someone has just bought, that is the best time to introduce them to buy something else. Because they've just bought you, they've just bought the company, they've just bought the services. That's the best time to introduce them to buy something else. So I would say to Jilly at this point, I'd say, Jilly, you know these 6 referrals you've given me? I'm probably going to make 300 quid off each one of those. But let's be realistic. Let's say one we can't get hold of and 2 ain't interested for whatever reason. So there's 3 of them. So about £900. Now, you know, I said earlier, I work for a really unusual company. Well, my company would actually like you to have that money. Okay. So, Jilly, what would you do if I put £900 in your bank in the next month or 2? What would you spend it on? Now you've got your prospect thinking about what they'd spend the money on, even though they haven't got it. Okay. So Jilly says, well, I pay off my credit card debt, or, well, I put it towards, you know, my fund for a new car, you know, whatever she says. I just say, Jilly, look, it's real simple. Okay, it's normally £100 to join, but it's only £50 because you're a double gold Daffy homeowner. And in fact, because you've used Switch and Save, we're going to put a chunk of money in your bank account down the road because that's the offer from the company. So we're actually going to pay you to become a partner. Okay, it's going to cost you nothing. And all you've got to do is do a little bit of online training, okay, and just get on your computer like I've got on my computer, and I'll be there with you. So we'll treat all of these friends and family of yours that, you know, you've got a relationship with, we'll treat them with the same ethics, morals and professionalism that I've treated you with, and we'll see if we can get that £900 into your bank. What do you say? Do you want to give it a go? So that's how you turn a double gold Daffy homeowner into a partner. That's how I would do it. What about, there will be some people out there that you get to talk to that genuinely don't want to join for whatever reason. They're misguided, but they don't want to join. So we're all used to building a no for now list, aren't we? But the trouble is, when we look at our no for now list, for most of us, is that it's daunting to make the calls. It's like, oh God, I remember making that call with that person. They weren't very nice. Whatever the case may be. This is how I build a nice, exciting no for now list. So let me use Natalie for a change. So Natalie, I'm talking to Natalie. Natalie said, Steve, look, it sounds great, wonderful, but it's just not for me right now. You know, I've got the kids running around. I'm trying to cook tea. It's a nightmare in my house right now. And I would say something like this. I'd say, Natalie, really respect where you're at. But look, I know we don't have a problem, Natalie, because we spent the last 20 minutes talking screen to screen, and I've really enjoyed your company. I hope you've enjoyed mine. I know there's no problem with the company because it's been on the London stock market for 2 decades. So Natalie, the only problem is my timing. So do you mind if I give you a call in 6 to 8 weeks and just keep you up to date and informed as to what the company's doing? Because sometimes they reduce their prices and give some freebies away that might help benefit you and your family, and your circumstances might change as well. So is that okay with you? And everybody says yes. So now you've got a list of all these people, and here's the key thing. You've got a list of all these people, but your posture has massively changed because now they've asked you to call them. So when you sit down to make those calls in 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is, or 4 weeks, you know, in your head, hey, Natalie's asked me to give her a call. So I ring up Natalie. Hi, Natalie. You know, am I interrupting? No, look, it's Steve from UW. We spoke 6 weeks ago. You asked me to give you a call. I just want you to update you on what we're doing. So your posture is so much stronger by using that approach. Now, some of you have got ideas, some of you have got wishes, some of you have got plans, and some of you have got goals. I want to encourage you all on this call tonight to have a mission. What is your mission? Why do you do what you do? What drives you? What's your primary motivating factor? What's your mission? Let me tell you what my mission is. My mission is to show as many people as possible how to get out of debt and live a dream lifestyle. That's it. People ask me, what do you do for a living? I show as many people as possible how to get out of debt and live a dream lifestyle. Why do you do what you do? Okay, so that I can show as many people as possible how to get out of debt and live a dream lifestyle. It's concise, it's simple. That's mine. Create your own or steal mine. I don't mind if it works for you. Some great intro lines from Big Al. I've just found out. Great lines to talk to people about. Well, you know how. Well, you know how most people in the town, you know, they're not paying full price for their broadband and mobile. What? Yeah, did you not know about that? I'm just curious, always takes people internally. And my favourite, which is excuse the unusual approach. Another great use of language. I'm really into language. And, you know, I might say to somebody, you know, how much extra money would make you feel safe and secure? Even if it means stepping outside your comfort zone in these challenging and tricky times. Okay, lovely use of language. These are all on what I'm going to send Helen and Theo, so don't worry about writing them down. Here's one you can use with people you know. I really think this is something we can do together, have a lot of fun and make some money. How do you feel about coming on that journey with me if I promise to help you along the way? So guys, we're not going back to normal. We don't want to wait till it's over. We need to get busy now. You don't want to wait until coronavirus is gone. You don't want to wait until the recession's gone. You could be waiting a decade. We need to get busy now. We need to phone everybody we know. And if you're sitting there saying, I don't know many people, this might be a pleasure or a pain for some of you. Imagine you're getting married again. Who's coming on the bride's side? Who's coming on the groom's side? Just make a list. An imaginary wedding. Most wedding planners say 200, 250 people come to a wedding. Start at A, look through your phone. Who haven't you spoken to? You know, what about all the people that you maybe use that come into your house and do odd jobs here and there? Have you spoken to them about what we do? Okay? You could build yourself, for you, a massive ring fence around you and your family so you don't have to worry financially, like many of us on this call have already done. But we want you to do that too. Now, Harvey Mackay made an absolutely fantastic quote many, many years ago when he said, one person can't change the world, but you can change one person's world. Who can you call? Who can you talk to? Who can you introduce this great business to? You do not want people coming back to you in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, saying, you were making an extra £500 a month and you never told me. You know, how long have I known you? You know, we've been going to church together for the last 20 years and you never told me about this extra money. Why didn't you tell me? You don't want people coming back. I believe we have a duty to speak to absolutely everybody because we never know whose life we can change. You know, I sat down with Charles Wigger back in February 1998 and he certainly changed my life. And I was questioning him about what he was going to do. And he said, Steve, trust me. He said, I built a big company before. I'm going to build a big company again. He said, you get on and do what you're good at, looking after the network and building the network. I'll get on and do what I'm good at, which is building a company. And I was silly enough to trust him. And here we are, 22 years later. And, you know, Katie and my biggest problem every month is what do we do with the extra? What charities do we give it to? Who do we help locally in our town where we live in Dorking? And in many cases, it's substantial. You know, we live on very little money now because we've got everything we need. And I know everyone on this call, you'd love to have everything you need. And wouldn't it be great to be able to give back? You know, Tony Robbins used to say, you know, living is giving. And it gives you a great deal of pleasure to be able to do that. But that's down the road. We want to get you there for many of you on the call. So let me just conclude in what I'm saying about the company and everything they've done. We've got virtual ops. We're getting 1,600 people to a virtual op. That's more than we used to get in a whole month of hotel ops. It's unbelievable. Got virtual ops, got virtual training. We've got the virtual recruiting mechanism and sign up customer mechanism, which we've got to become skilled at. And that's my big message. Take the time out. Get into little groups, practice with your downline, your upline, your sideline, people you relate to. Practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. Okay. But one thing I would say is please put progress before perfection. Don't worry about it not being perfect. So many of us go, oh, I'll keep practicing until it's perfect. I'll keep practicing until it's perfect. You could be a year down the road. Waste of time. Okay. So anyone got a Monty Python sense of humour here on the call? Yeah, okay, right. This is mine, and I'm really dry with my humour. Some of you know that. But in a funny sort of way, the British government are educating the public, to 12 million of them that are going to be furloughed, to residual income. Because the government are giving them money in April, they're going to give them money in May, and money in June, and they're not working. However, what they did was they passed an interview, they got the job. So they did the work once, maybe months ago, years ago, or decades ago. They did the work once. Now they're getting paid back, but only for 3 months at the moment. What do we do in our business? We teach people how to do the work once and get paid not for 3 months, but for 3 months, 1 year, 1 decade. And in my case, I'm in my 3rd decade of being paid. So the government are actually opening the eyes to people that are being furloughed to residual income. So this is a great line. You can actually talk to people and say, do you realise you're actually nearly already in my business because you're getting residual income if they're furloughed? So anyway, that's my quirky Monty Python kind of thing. So anyway, 1 in 3 companies have put 75% on furlough. 2.5 grand. After tax, it's 2 grand. It's not a huge amount of money for many families. Okay, especially if there's only one breadwinner. So people are going to be looking. People are going to be looking. And in closing, guys, I'd like to say this. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. If you want to contrast to where we are, we've done 5 weeks in lockdown. We're in our 6th. Nelson Mandela did 5 years. No broadband, no mobile, no books. So, you know, we just got to get through it, and we will. Learning is in the doing, not the studying. This remote distancing, from everything I read and see, it's here to stay for a while. Certainly for the rest of this year, I think. So we've got to get used to using the remote sign-up. We've got to embrace change. And I saw something that was really inspiring the other day. I saw Dame Judi Dench, who's bloody 85. She learnt TikTok so that she could engage with her grandchildren. So if someone who's 85 can get involved with technology, so can all of us on this call. And I know some of you are sitting there going, oh, it was so good when it was paper. Then they went to the ruddy tablet. Now I've got this remote sign-up screen thing, but we've got to embrace things change. You know, VAT used to be 15%. It's not anymore. We used to have car discs. We used to have tax discs on our car. The government said, we're not having that anymore. Right now, we've got to work with what we got. We've got to work with what we got. Put progress before perfection. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Darwin said, it won't go to the quickest or the most intelligent. It will go to the most adaptable. So we've got to become adaptable. Question for you all. What's the biggest room in the world? What's the biggest room in the world?
Zoom.
It's the room for improvement. I know it's cheesy, but I want to get it out on a Saturday morning. It's the room for improvement. So I'm going to finish up. And what I want to say is we got so much. This company have done so much. In fact, in a way, as a network marketing company, this company has done more than any company that I've ever known about or been involved with. When you look at everything they've done, it's phenomenal. It really is. And I want to tell you a little story, which I think encompasses that. And it kind of encompasses where we're at, I think, with the company. And the story goes like this. There's this guy called Joseph, and he's a real God-fearing man. He went to Sunday school when he was younger. He regularly goes to church, and he lives in a village that's on the Nile, and he's quite wealthy. And all of a sudden, the Nile breaks its banks, and the whole village is getting flooded. And they can't stop the water because the Nile is so big and powerful. So what happens is the elders and the council there, they all decide, well, we've got to send people, we've got to help these people. So as the water rose, got up to like, you know, it was coming in people's houses. It was knee deep. They started to send little canoes round to rescue people and help people and tell them to leave their home. And they got round to Joseph, and he said, "Look, don't worry about me." He said, I go to church every day. I'm a God-fearing man, and I'll be all right. God will take care of me." Anyway, next day, the water's up to the top of the first floor, and everyone's living on the second floor of their homes. So canoes are no good now. They've got to get a lot of people out of their homes, so they send boats. So there's boats going round, and they get to Joseph's house. They say, "Joseph, jump in the boat. We want to save you. Don't worry about your possessions. We can replace those. Don't worry about me. I'll go to Sunday school. I'll go to church regularly. God will save me." Anyway, the third day, the water's like up to roof level now, and Joseph's on the roof by the chimney, hanging onto the chimney stack. And they send helicopter, and they're running around with helicopters with ladders on, and they're saying, "Joseph, jump on the helicopter, jump on the helicopter." He said, "Don't worry about me." He said, "I've got faith." He said, I believe in my God, he'll take care of me." Anyway, he drowns. And on his way up to heaven, he meets St. Peter. And he looks at St. Peter and he said, "Look," he said, "what's going on?" He said, "I went to Sunday school." He said, "I went to church." He said, "I contributed to the village. Why didn't you help me?" And St. Peter said, "We sent you a canoe. We sent you a boat. We sent you a bloody helicopter. We can't do everything. So my message is, we got the tools. We got the tools. We got to go and use them. We got the time." Okay. Now I know some of us have got even more. I mean, some of my distributors are working harder now than they've ever worked in the past because it's draining working on Zoom. But what a great place to be able to work, to be able to go out and help people. So, at the end of the day, are you locked down in your house or are you safe in your house? Is it boring that you can't go out, or fantastic that you can make the calls and use the remote sign up? Is it really worrying you don't want to make the calls because everyone's at home? Or is it fantastic and it's time to make the calls because everyone's at home? It's the old adage, is your glass half empty or is it half full? Guys, it's time for a new mindset, a new focus, new intentions, which will give you new results. So thank you very much for listening to me. I hope you've enjoyed this call. I've tried to cover a whole smorgasbord of stuff. Obviously, you take out of it what you want. I'm going to send Helen and Theo the notes, and I'm going to stop now. I'm going to hand back to Helen and Theo. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to stay on and take them. But thank you very much, and I wish you everything you wish yourselves.
Thank you, Steve.
Steve,
Thank you, Steve.
yeah, well, thank you so much for your time this morning. Actually sort of sharing that wisdom and knowledge with us, because I think some of us have been questioning, what should we be doing, and I think it's also that it is that fear factor. And some of us have been doing some copy and calls morning. So, if anybody wants to join us, we meet on a Wednesday and a Friday between 10 and 11. There's no pressure, but it's just really encouraging us to step out of our comfort zone and connect with people. And I haven't had anyone be rude to me. In fact, people have been really open to having a look at the presentation. And these are people who have been on my chicken list for a long time. So we're really using this opportunity very positively now. So if you want to ask Steve a question, do you want to unmute yourself, because we've put you all on silent mode. Anyone got any questions?
If there's no questions, tell me what resonated with you, because that helps me. Oh, well, the speaker must have been real crap. I wouldn't employ him again. I mean, dearie me, look, they're all unengaged. Yeah, Diane.
Can I just say, when you started, I was feeling doom and gloom. It was all, I'm thinking, oh my God, I just want to die here. But listening to you has really brought me up. I am feeling so enthusiastic to get. I'm really enjoying the Zoom appointments, actually.
Good.
Maybe not getting the appointment, the actual customers, but I am feeling so positive. So thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. It's all about your intentions. I think we have a duty of care to phone everybody and just see whether we can help them. if we lead with the right intention, no matter what they say on the end of the phone, you know you've led with a good heart. It's
Well, thank you. I've
if you lead predatory, I wouldn't advise that, because people will see that straight away.
Thank you.
Ross.
Steve, good morning. The thing I've got out of this is your mission. I've always been a case of I'm trying to help people save money, make money. But I just love the fact that I can now say I want to help people get out of debt and live a dream life.
Yeah,
I think that's a much more powerful.
I think it encompasses most people. Most people are in debt. The average family in the 20. I think I read the other day that 25% of families in this country, 25%, have less than 100 quid in the bank.
Yeah. Less
than £100. So the way to look at it is how many of those families can we find to help?
Yeah.
Our job is not to sponsor everybody, and our job is not to sell our services. Our job is just to show people and educate people and give them the opportunity to opt in, and we'll work with them. But if they don't want to opt in, that's their choice. We're going to talk to somebody else.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Any other questions, guys? Helen, are you monitoring the chat? See whether people are chucking questions in there.
Oh yeah, hang on. What have we got? Andy Pedrick, thank you, Steve. Yes, Ross is just saying, second what Diane just said, uplifting and for a fairly newbie, I find it interesting, exciting. Lindsay just said, thank you very much. He's going to go on his mission.
Okay, that's fantastic. I really appreciate the accolades. It's kind of like some of us were on the call with Art Jonah the other night, which was a phenomenal call, and I made some notes from it. And I just want to share with you one of the things he said, which I think is very relevant, and that he was talking about depression, which a lot of people are suffering from in the environment we're in, because they don't know how to deal with it. And some people are going loopy-loo. I mean, if you heard some of the conversations my wife and I are having amongst these four walls, you'd think we should be locked up or sectioned. But it's only just because we're having a bit of fun and we need to break the monotony. But he was saying that the antidote to depression is accomplishment. Now, if you're accomplishing things, it changes your state. There's another view as well that the antidote to depression is connecting. It's connections. One of the things we're all missing from what I read and what I see and from what I experience myself with my children and my grandchildren is we're missing that human connection. Now, what a great opportunity to go out and connect with people. And then when we're out of this horrible environment, they've got a business, they'll have loads of connections. Here's an interesting fact. The week before 9/11 happened, okay, they monitored how many planes they had in the sky. It took them 3 years to get back to the same level. So even when we come out of lockdown, people are not going to be running out to the restaurants, to the coffee shops. They're not going to be rebooking holidays, jumping on flights, because people are still going to be fearful. People are still going to be worried. Underneath all of that is protection. How do I protect my family? How do I protect me? And underneath all that, other than the actual virus situation, is money. And we can help every one of those people. So we just got to go out there and talk to people. Get on a mission. Get on a mission and talk to as many people as you possibly can.
Sorry, Steve, can I just say, I found there was so much in it, it was difficult to get a few things, but the progress before perfection sort of made me rethink, because I know I tend to sort of want to get everything done properly, perfectly. But the other thing that I just had never thought of was one of the advantages of the remote sign up and for helping disabled people.
Brilliant.
I mean,
absolutely
I know a couple
brilliant.
of people already, and it helps them because there's one in particular who's always had a very, very active life, and he said he's just lost 2 legs. He was getting back to normality, and then he fell and broke a hip.
Okay.
On top of that.
Yeah.
So I just hadn't. I mean, it's true. I just never ever thought of that. So thanks very much.
It's a pleasure. There's loads of, like I said, the remote sign-up's here to stay. You guys, you've got 2 choices. You either embrace it or you don't. And right now, if you don't embrace it, your business, unless you've got a big team, your business ain't growing. So we've got to embrace it and we've got to learn it. And, it's practice, practice, practice. It's here to stay. It's a fantastic tool. It really is. And let me tell you, there's other companies around the world that will give their right arm for some of the online tools that we've got. Give their right arm. Because they haven't got them. We're still functioning, we're still building, we're still growing. 8 of the top 10 people on remote sign-ups last week were QDs. They're people that have only just joined. They know no different. They know no different. So I just want to finish now and just share this with you. There was quite a bit of doom and gloom in there, I know, but I just want to share my decade view. And I think the next 3 years are going to be massively challenging for normal business out there. Going to be massive challenging. Our business is going to absolutely boom because there's going to be so many people looking for extra income. But I think after those 3 years, I think the next decade, if I look ahead from 2020 to 2030, globally, I think it's going to be a very, very exciting time. I really do, because if you look at the millennials, which really only had the web and the internet to work with, and look at what they've achieved. All the companies that have come out of the web and the internet, you know, from Amazon to Facebook to, you know, all Revolut, Monza, all the internet companies out there, fantastic. But if you look at Generation Z, which is our younger people, where the oldest right now is 25, all the converging techs make it a really exciting future. You've got, and I've just made a list of some of the things you've got coming, and they're all converging in the next decade, in my view. You've got 3D printing. Do you know they can print a house, a 3,000 square foot house now in America in 3 days? They can print a house in 3 days. You've got artificial intelligence. You've got robotics, virtual reality, augmented reality. You've got blockchain. You've got automated driving, which is robot taxis. You've got quantum computing. You've got genetic editing, solar battery fusion power, brain to machine interfaces, space tech, advanced material with graphene, ion propulsion for planes. There is so much coming down the pipeline that I think, whilst we might feel we're in doom and gloom right now, I think the next decade or two is going to be phenomenally exciting. And when I look at our under 30s group that are working in utility warehouse, and I do conference calls with them, they are beyond excitement. They're just out there talking to people. They know no different. They've mastered the internet. They love all this remote stuff because it's all techie, and they master it real quickly. But they're just out there doing it. They're just talking to people. You know, Hannah Sparks, you know, she's making an average of 2.5, 3K a month. She's 26. She hasn't allowed lockdown to affect her. She's still making the same money she was making before. And that's mainly on Quips and signing up. I spoke to Alex Russell the other day. He's had his best month ever. I spoke to Anna May. And, you know, April was a better month than March and February for her. So it's all up here. It's how you see it. So Helen and Theo, I think we're done.
Thank you very much.
I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm now going to send Helen and Theo a 4-page Word doc. I wish you everything you wish yourself. Stay safe. And I'll catch many of you on the phone that know me. You're welcome. Give me a call. And thank you very much for inviting me on the call, Helen and Theo.
Well, thank you, Steve, again for your time. It's been fantastic. Thank you. Okay.
Super stuff. Take care.
Guys, bye.
Bye.
Bye.